After checking into our hotel in central Bucharest, we spent the afternoon working off jet lag with a long walk. One thing that struck us was the graffiti on almost every building, including even historic and cultural monuments. All that walking gave us an excuse to try the local ice cream. Very good. Still on our own the next day, we explored more of the city center, finding this old church building behind the folk museum, along with a flea market. The Old Town area is filled with interesting historic sites, sitting alongside restaurants and bars. The adjacent monastery, along with the inn which financed the church and the monastery, was destroyed in the 19th century. The monastery was restored in 1904. This is Bucharest's oldest church, dating from 1559, and is where Romanian princes were crowned. Where does one go for dinner in Romania? An Italian restaurant, of course. Our group met up for a city tour which covered sites a bit further out than our walks had taken us. The open-air museum is one of the oldest in Europe, having been built in 1936.
That is, let's say, in the center of Romania, more or less. In the center, meaning that it's coming from a place that is the place where all the three provinces of Romania used to be.
Next up, the Palace of Parliament, or the Palace of the People. This is the second largest building in the world after the Pentagon. A guided tour is a must as one easily can get lost.
Okay, so this room was supposed to be the theater. It was supposed to be used for entertainment. Unfortunately, after the 90s, when they wanted to finish the room, they sealed off the backstage. I mean by mistake. They never sealed it on purpose.
The group then visited the Patriarchal Cathedral Complex, the center of the Romanian Orthodox Church. The tour finished with lunch at a restaurant featuring folk music and dancing. Driving south took us past fields of rapeseed, the source of canola oil.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, as you enjoy your drinks, allow us a moment to arrange the technical department, and we'll be back to talk to you more about the ship's amenities and the next day's program.
So much traffic on it.
That's probably what it is.
On board the Viking Embla, we had time to get familiar with the ship and have the mandatory safety drill before our first dinner.
Now, if you wish, you can retain your place in the lounge, or you may take down the life jackets in your cabins.
Laid out.
On your right, we've just passed it, but that's the town library. It will cost you 8 leva, or €4 every year to join, and you can borrow books for 1 week only.
Overnight, the Embla crossed the river and we awoke in Bulgaria with excursion buses waiting to take us out into the country to see the sights around its medieval capital.
You'll notice the left two pillars are different from the ones on the right.
A surprise for all was this gentleman. Even our guide was speechless. We made a stop in the center of town for a quick break before heading up to the top of the hills to see the fortress and a street of local artisan shops.
Now you probably appreciate how hilly it is. On the right, in the gaps between the buildings, you'll be able to have a little view down.
The fortress was first built between the 8th and 10th centuries. Destroyed in 1393, it recently was restored. Lunch was in the suburb of Arbanasi, again accompanied by a folk dance performance. A short walk brought us to this church, famed for its 16th and 17th century frescoes. Built under a Muslim regime, it was not allowed any exterior decoration.
But their work still exists. The frescoes we can see they're original since that time, not repainted. But in 1972, the former communist government.
Just down the street, we toured this Muslim merchant's house.
The school is specialized. Most of in Vidin we have a school where one of the school where they teach tourism for the ones that would like to stay or would like to come back earlier. There won't be a problem.
Still in Bulgaria, our excursion the next day took us to the rock formation surrounding Belogradchik Fortress. The fortress dates as early as the Roman era, but little currently is in evidence. The limestone rocks, however, are impressive, covering a strip a mile wide and 18 miles long. That afternoon, we walked around the river town of Vidin. Inhabited since at least the 3rd century BC, the town has seen a parade of invaders and conquerors. This Soviet-era monument is next to a fortress built on top of a prior Roman one. Once this was the 2nd largest synagogue in Bulgaria. After getting underway, the captain gave a short tour of the wheelhouse.
So, why the captain needs to speak Russian and German? Because on this stretch of the river, the official language is Russian. So, to move the propellers, they can be turned in 360 degrees. They're in dry dock, so the ships are not sailing until January and February.
So all the crew goes home for 3 months?
Yeah.
Heading further up the lower Danube, we passed other river cruise ships and a Roman riverside shrine.
Which is anywhere in between 66, 70 feet up to 100 feet in depth.
Then we entered the Iron Gate Gorge. Limestone cliffs squeeze the river to only about 450 feet wide.
That is a former signal station, now transformed into a little monastery. There is actually one monk there, one person that takes care of it, and people like to stop and pray on their way along this.
Just relaxing while enjoying the views was the order of the day. By morning, we were docked in Belgrade, Serbia. Touring started at the Kalmegdan Fortress, site of over 115 battles that has been destroyed at least 44 times. The Celts built the first fort here, then the Romans and the Turks rebuilt and expanded it.
Let's see the strategy. You're standing on the first rock of the Balkan Peninsula, River. Also Celts came to that. you will be dropped off on the other side of the pedestrian street. So you can walk to the pedestrian street until its very end here, and then do the same what the bus is doing right now, going downhill.
The other main item we viewed, the largest Orthodox church in the world. It is being built on the site where Turks supposedly burnt the relics of Saint Sava, the founder of the Serbian Orthodox Church. Begun in 1935, World War II and the Communist era interrupted construction, which finally resumed in 1985. On our own for the afternoon, we took a walk around the Old Town and university neighborhoods.
Dobar dan, izvolite. Welcome.
That evening's dinner was a buffet spread around all the dining areas and into the galley with Serbian folk music accompaniment.
This isn't from me.
No, don't stand still. This is motion picture.
Okay.
An overnight and morning cruise brought us into Croatia, accompanied by more local folk performers. In the afternoon, we were taken inland to Osijek.
Alright, so I mentioned some 4.3 million inhabitants living in Croatia.
These names of the people that have maybe killed maybe on the road.
First stop, a fisherman's barn for a mildly interesting presentation on local lore.
So the bush of fisherman brother. Names come from the legend come from 17th century. And what was happened in 17th century, not too far from here, in Mohacs, Hungary. Huge combat was happened. Two armies are coming. Army of European Union, 50,000 soldiers.
Then we were taken to a church for a disappointingly mediocre performance. The walk through the town left us wishing for more time to explore on our own. This was the one really substandard excursion during the trip. Moving further upriver took us into Hungary. After docking at the town of Koloska, we attended an organ concert at St. Joseph Church. Then it was back to the bus and into the Hungarian plains, the Puszta.
Yeah, right. Might be sweet, but...
Our stop at the Equestrian Center featured a demonstration of the horsemanship skills of the sisters, or cowboys, dressed in their 19th century costumes.
Of the cows, they fall asleep for over 20 hours. I'm not kidding. They fall asleep for over 20 hours, you know, it requires lots of energy from the digest system, you know, to deal with it. Thank you very much. You have to know that they are performing the elementary surviving skill, surviving trick of the riders of the ancient time. This was the way how they could hide away from their chasers in the high grass. This volunteer of ours, that is one, of course. Here comes András Timár and the top 10. Please welcome him. Look at the boots. Look at the boots of the rider. These are the so-called fox slippers.
Smile, Bob.
Oh, I didn't know we were now on
How are you? Yeah, as the program director Alina said already, almost the cruise comes to the end. So tomorrow we have to say to some of you already goodbye.
That you will take home many happy memories of this cruise.
That night, the farewell entertainment was, no surprise, Hungarian music. Disembarking the Embla in Budapest, our city tour started on the level Pest side. Crossing over to hilly Buda and up Castle Hill took us to the Matthias Church. While it dates mostly to 1896, a few parts go back several hundred years earlier. Adjacent to the church, the Fisherman's Bastion offers great views of Pest. The market hall has dozens of vendors who offer a great selection of fresh meat, fruit, vegetables, and bakery goods. The upper level holds largely souvenir stands. After a quick stop at Parliament Square, we checked into our hotel. We started the afternoon with a tour of the Opera Building.
Choose the most important god for this purpose. Over there is the naked goddess Aphrodite, who is not only Aphrodite, but also the daughter of the painter, the daughter of Karolot, so it's like a family portrait in a different way. In the middle of the enormous painting, you can see an enormous chandelier. The construction was planned to take 3 years, but it took 9 years, which is very typical here in Hungary, but we have two important reasons for this. First of all, the emperor didn't give this to a million contemporary Hungarian forints in one sum.
The rest of the day we walked around, enjoying the parks and window shopping. one last day in Budapest. After another walk exploring central Pest, we visited two moving memorials to the victims of the Holocaust. This tree of life is at the synagogue. The bronze shoes are in honor of those Jews shot here between 1944 and 1945. We stopped for a break at this Habsburg-era coffee house during the early part of the 20th century, and even now a gathering place for intellectuals and radicals. I'm not sure how we qualify. Yes, it works. The oldest church in Pest, the original building was erected in the 12th century. It was rebuilt after a fire in 1723.